Time is now 12:15 p.m. on this 15th day of December 2020, and call the meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. If I can have all the board members present here and online, we'd like to name one more time for the regular meeting.
Francisco Castillo.
Elisa Oliveros.
Juan Roberto Ramírez.
And myself, Ramiro Vélez. Let the record show that the quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item 4, public comments. Mr. Knight, we do have several.
Sir, we do have some individuals. I just asked them to come on in, but I guess I didn't get my text message.
Correct. We'll start with that.
Really?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, trustees, Superintendent Santos, Mr. Andrés, faculty, staff, and guests. My name is Jorge J. Delgado. I'm with the Laredo College Board of Trustees, place 4 to be exact. I would first like to thank the school board, first and foremost, for allowing United Independent School District, and in particular, Mr. Santos, to collaborate with Laredo College on various programs and initiatives throughout the years. Precisely the dual enrollment, because it's been amongst the most successful programs our shared students have been able to take advantage of, along with the high quality of education and at an affordable cost. This partnership between UISD, which has been and will continue to be an A+ grade level school district, and Laredo College, being the #1 community college in the state of Texas, will serve us as a springboard for our shared students to accelerate their higher education goals for years to come. So in closing, on behalf of the Laredo College Board of Trustees, we would like to formally request your virtual attendance later today at our board meeting at 6 p.m. We'll be having a recognition and a resolution for the remarkable service to the education of Laredo and support of Laredo College throughout the tenure of Mr. Bobby Santos. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. Hope to see you all later today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Delgado.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next public individual, sir, is Tina Trevino.
Yes, ma'am.
Trevino?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all as well. Thank you, board, for having this meeting today. I am Tina Trevino, a former UISD board member of 9 years. I entered the board at that time, or actually involved in it, because I believe that only children's education is the one and only job of us, the adults. I'm here for exactly the same reason. Children's education, as you should be. I was one of the 7 several years ago who stepped up on behalf of the children of UISD to help redirect a board who, some of them, had lost focus. Children were their job and became self-serving. It is my opinion that Mr. Santos' contract ends June. He is the superintendent. He should remain the superintendent. By buying him out, you would be wasting taxpayer, my money, which particularly at this time of COVID, needs to be focused on the educational enhancement of the children. In my opinion, UISD needs a person who has known education throughout their career as an educator, who has continued to be in the schools, in the classrooms, meeting with the parents, the children, the teachers, and meeting their needs. Someone who has attended state and national educational conferences, webinars, meetings, to aid in bringing UISD's educational standard to that higher than Alamo Heights and San Antonio. Due to COVID, UISD needs to have someone who understands the challenge of these dedicated teachers that we have. As they begin to get more and more students in their classrooms, all at different levels of knowledge, you have to know education in order to lead this district. Begin as they will to address their children. These teachers will begin as they will to address more children as they enter the doors and they come in with empty eyes or good and alive and vibrant eyes. A point of information, board. There are two ways, and I'm sure you're aware of this. There are two ways to choose a superintendent. From within the family of UISD or in a search where applicants are reviewed for their skills, their experience, and their merit, and with input from the community. That is your job, to represent us. Look behind you. I was here when that logo came to be. And that logo says UISD for children. Board members, that is your directive from all of the taxpayers, the parents, the employees, and most of all, the children. I beg you, listen to their words. I need you and you and you and all of those people, that all of you sitting up there making decisions. This child is saying, I need you to be my guiding force for my life, for my education, for my career, my future. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lorena. Appreciate the remarks. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
There are other individuals here who addressed, sent me emails. Mr. George Algilt, I know he asked and he wanted to speak. I asked if he would on.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Honorable Board, George Altgeld here as a taxpayer and citizen who has children in the UISD system, and frankly, also as an advocate on behalf of teachers, paraprofessionals, and the sort. You know, I've as a lawyer, I've spent a lot of time in front of you all, and frankly, evolving and kind of growing up, if you will, in the United ISD boardroom. And you know, I've come here today before you to bear witness to the fact that through my advocating, as well as on behalf of students, there was always a very steady and firm hand at the helm, and that was Mr. Santos. And though we frequently disagreed, we always agreed to carry ourselves out very professionally. And there was many occasions where the matter was delegated to Miss Gloria Rendon. And I rise in support of Miss Rendon. Just to tell you, I know you guys are shopping around for a possible replacement, but you know, the right hand to the steady hand, perhaps where Mr. Santos was, you know, a little iron-fisted, and with all, and I get it, I understand that's needed. Gloria was able to bring a lot of grace and a lot of meaningful contemplation and a lot of fairness to the will of the board and the will of the district. And so, I don't think you have to look much further. She has an outstanding reputation in the Texas educator community, and she's got broad support from teachers across the board, students across the board. I think you would be very hard pressed to find somebody that could find anything negative to say about her. So just hoping to encourage you all to make the right decision that puts kids first.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the remarks.
The other individual, sir, who spoke out on it is Ms. Marta Garcia. I'm not sure if she's on.
No.
Okay. The other individual, sir, they did ask me to read their comments. This is in reference to agenda item number 8, letter C, item number 5. And this is, dear UIZ board members, Mr. Roberto Santos, Superintendent, UIZ administration, and members of the audience. My name is David Perez. I am the local president of the Texas Classroom Teachers Association. I am a teacher at United High School, a parent of UIZ students, and a UISD taxpayer. Let me first begin by offering my sincere appreciation to Superintendent Santos for his excellent leadership for 16 years at United ISD. Because of him, UISD has become one of the premier school districts in the state of Texas. We have received many accolades. Again, Mr. Santos, thank you for a job well done. That being said, on November 30th of this year, Mr. Santos announced his retirement from UISD effective June 30th, 2021. My concern and the concern of my fellow teachers, parents, and taxpayers is with agenda item 8C5 and item 9F, the naming of an interim superintendent. Why do we have to have an interim superintendent if there is no vacancy at the present time? Mr. Santos has said that he will serve until next June 30th. An interim is not necessary right now. We are in a very unique and difficult time right now with COVID, and appointing an interim would create uncertainty and instability. We need this now. Again, Mr. Santos has offered to finish out the school year. Please let him finish. However, if the board insists on going ahead with agenda item 8C5 and 9F, in the interest of transparency, you owe it to the teachers, parents, and the taxpayers to move those items from closed session to open session so that we may hear your reasoning for such a move. Also, when the time comes for selecting a new superintendent, I would hope that the UISD Board of Trustees, in the interest of transparency, form a committee of teachers, parents, and taxpayers who will have input in the final decision. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter as it relates to the future of our district and the education of our children. The other agenda items, sir, are having to do with agenda item 8A3 and 9B, the border wall. There's quite a number of those. So this is from Jose L. Ceballos, who submitted this electronically. Dear Board of Trustees and Administration, wish all of you and your families good health and a great holiday season. At a moment when we have an incoming president of the United States who has announced he will not build any more of a monumentally divisive, menacing, and destructive border wall, I strongly urge you to adopt and support the resolution being considered to demonstrate your and our community's strong position against the wall in the Laredo sector and for other more effective options in providing for border security. There are currently 4 contracts awarded in the Laredo sector spanning 71 miles and totaling more than $1 billion, an exorbitant amount that would be invested in efforts like education. But instead it is being invested in medieval solution to contemporary issues. The environmental and civic landscape for our community, for our children, will change forever if we do not fight this. At this opportunity and juncture, although you may not consider yourself a leading participation in this battle, your voice not only speaks for that which lays out our community's future and vehicle, which is education, but most importantly, you speak for our children today. You have an opportunity to be a voice, a strong and clear voice for what is right and what is good for our community. Simply put, the resolution primarily asks that the president and the incoming administration to, number 1, put in place a moratorium and stop all property condemnation proceedings against landowners to study more effective alternatives in providing for border security. Number 2, end the national emergency declaration at the southern border. And number 3, rescind the waiver of laws that the current administration has used to supersede protections for the environment and local communities. Thank you for your leadership. I strongly urge you to take a stand on this issue and adopt this resolution. Again, Jose El Ceballos, member of the Rio Grande Landowners Coalition and UISD constituents. Then there's a lot of other comments, sir. This is from Ms. Naja Lopez. Laredo is winning the fight against the border wall. We have fought hard to get this far, and we are so close to crossing the finish line. Stand your ground, stand strong, defend our city, defend our health, defend our future. We are almost there. From Isabella Cigarroa. The people of Laredo and United States have spoken. The wall lost. We have rejected this destructive and wasteful wall. It is now only a matter of bringing the victory home. Think about the parks that children will be playing in for years to come. Do we want to have a monstrous wall as a backdrop? Our land should be a symbol of growth and prospects for our future. Let's ensure that this is the case. Amy Gamboa. The wall was on a ballot this year and it lost. It lost both in the United States as a whole and it lost here in Laredo. The people have spoken. We don't want a border wall. President-elect Biden has already made it clear when he said not another foot will be built by his administration. We need to hold him to his promise and defend our lands for our future and for our children. Analia Gutierrez, the fight against the border wall is in the last minute in the last quarter and Laredo is winning. Those who want to steal our lands, control our waterfront, confiscate our properties are hoping they can get it over the finish line before the clock runs out. But they are far from the goal line. All you have to do is stand firm, stand your ground, and we win. Stay strong. Shelley Lawrence. UISD has landed stake in the construction of a wall. We can stop this undemocratic land grab and support from our Congressman Henry Cuellar, who sent a letter to Biden, and the governing bodies in Webb and Zapata, who have already adopted this resolution to send a strong, unified message to this incoming administration. Defend our district's land. James Norris. Last week, the Texas State Democratic Party and Zapata County passed a resolution unanimously and without hesitation. This week, the Webb County Commissioners Court passed it as well. Here in Laredo, we have so much at stake. We need your leadership as an elected governing body. Stand up, be strong. Manuel Juarez Sr. UISD has 2 parcels of undeveloped riverfront land that the contractors want and need in order to succeed in building a wall. Don't let up. Protect your taxpayers and their investment in our children's future. Together, we can send the message that our land is not up for grabs. Lola Norris. This resolution has already passed by the Webb County Commissioners Court, our local and state Democratic Party, and our neighbors in Zapata County. It is now your turn. We ask that you, as our elected leaders and UISD, send the strongest message possible to the incoming administration and hold to the promise that not another foot of wall will be built. Maxine Reveles. We are so close to the finish line, to ending this terrible chapter of our community. So much is at stake for Laredo. The consequences of letting the federal government take our lands and forever divide us from that most precious and life-giving river are unbearable for our children and their families to live with. Tricia Cortez. There are 16 active lawsuits happening right now against our community, targeting special places along the river that stand to be bulldozed and demolished. Sadly, this is happening to border communities like ours because of pure partisan politics. Our people, the rights and voices of our residents, many of whom don't have the resources or means to fight this battle against the government, must be heard and uplifted by this board. They need you. We ask that you vote in favor to support this resolution. Regina Portillo. As a UISD graduate, I ask you, please vote in favor of sending a clear message to the Biden administration that we will fight for our lands, our river, our rights, our history, and our children's future. Elizabeth Pesina. As a resident of Rio Bravo, a small town down south of Laredo and located right next to the river, it is very important to highlight the impact the Laredo politicians have on my community. Your support is essential for our residents too, as many of them work in Laredo and will be affected by the construction of the wall directly. We need to send a unified message and demonstrate that our city is working together to stand up to the unjust tactics used in the attempt to make our lands, such as a declaration of national emergency and the laws waived, effectively making our city a constitutional free zone in order to allow the wall to be built. Our private and public lands are not for taking. Juan Ruiz. Large-scale public works projects have historically had a detrimental effect on the most marginalized members of society. The border wall is no different. I work as a field organizer in Webb County and Zapata County, conducting outreach to residents in our community who will be directly impacted by the construction of this proposed border wall. Through the course of my work, I have encountered countless families whose homes, ranches, and businesses lie in the path of the proposed wall. Each of these families is expected to be negatively impacted by the law. However, not every family will feel the brute force of these words equally. Several low-income families through our region are expecting to be displaced by wall construction, forcing children to relocate to new schools and putting parents in a position of having to explain to their children the drastic changes they are experiencing. In the midst of all this, several families will lose generations worth of investment into their homes. Several parks and important spaces of outdoor recreation and refuge will be lost. This includes Santa Rita Park, near where I grew up in South Laredo, and similarly, the Rio Bravo River Park, which is adjacent to UIC health properties slated to be impacted by the border wall. And it may seem like the school district may not have a voice on this issue. The land it owns along the river amounts to a few acres in what will be hundreds of miles of wall. I will say, though, that the district has the most important voice in all of this because it speaks to the needs of its students. As I noted, recreational spaces along our frontline neighborhoods will be destroyed, resulting in a desert of sorts that will deny children access to safe outdoor spaces and instead force them to play in the shadows of history's cruelest legacy. As a graduate of the United Independent School District, I ask that you support this resolution calling for a moratorium on construction of the border wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rendon. We thank all the public comments that were submitted and the individuals that came here in person. With that, we'll move to agenda item 5. Mr. Release. Go ahead, Mr.
Excuse me. Excuse me. This is Marta Garcia. I was skipped. I couldn't open my microphone. I'm in the classroom, and I have a letter that I wrote for my board members, and I want to be heard.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Marta Garcia. For those of you that don't know me, I've been in the district for 44 years, and I've been a teacher for 47 years. Some of you could have been my classmates. Some of you could have been my students. Some of you can be my students' parents. As a proud member of the UISD family since 1979, I have worked under more than 5 superintendents in this district. I have witnessed great and bad decisions being made by our board members and our superintendents that have affected us, everyone. I can go back to Mr. Hughes, my first superintendent, to Mr. Rodriguez, Dr. Woods, Dr. Barbers, and many more. It is my strongest belief as an educator, having worked for them, that education is the key to success for every student that walks through our halls. I have proudly had the honor of being part of countless success stories by UISD students, ranging from the White House to NASA, to medical and law schools, Hollywood, medical research fields, artificial intelligence doctorates, physicists, and many other fields. I believe that the leadership of these institutions is of utmost importance to continue with this success. Within the past few years, the district has hosted the League of Legends ceremony, which is a direct testimony to our student successes. UISD must continue its role in producing top quality students who, in turn, make our district continue being highly recognized in the United States and around the world. You, as board members and as parents of UISD students, and some of you UISD graduates, are entrusted by the people of this district, this community, to make the right choices and should always keep and maintain our decisions and actions. It is of utmost importance that your choice of new superintendent after Mr. Roberto Santos retired in June be one that is pro-children, pro-educators, and pro-Laredo taxpayers. Mr. Santos is not asking to be bought out. He's an honorable man. You are rushing to a vote that postponed any vote, and the decision is in your hand. Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, appreciate the remarks.
With that, Mr. Reyes, I make a motion based on the interest of time and transparency. We call up item 9F 9E, and 9B in that order. That's my motion to take off.
Second your motion. I have a second.
Action in regards to appointment of interim superintendent. My motion is that this matter be tabled to June 30th, 2021, based on the fact that, one, there is no vacancy under the contractual terms of Mr. Santos's contract. Appointing of an interim is, in my opinion, ridiculous, for one. Number two, it is impossible to do with the way it is structured. And to suggest the buyout, which is not even on the agenda today, would cost this district approximately $600,000 to about $700,000, in my opinion. And that is if Mr. Santos is even going to entertain such an offer. And based on where we're at with regards to the pandemic, with regards to being the stability that USD has at this point in time. We've been an A-rated district for the last now 3 years. I don't believe that it is necessary. And if the board members who sponsored this item still want to proceed with that interim, then I suggest that we take that up in June 2021.
Mr. Montemayor, you took the words right out of my mouth and you have my second.
So we have a motion to move up the items 9F and 9E. Do we have to do a second motion to table?
No, just take a motion first to move them up. Just what Mr. Montemayor Flores said.
In regards to 9E, I can address them each one individually.
Right.
But let's take the motion first to kind of get them out of order and then.
Okay. The motion move those 9F, 9E, and 9B up. We have about 20 minutes left before some of our board members have to return to their work. So,
all right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ramirez, aye.
Flores Oliveros, aye.
Montemayor, aye.
Right, and myself, aye. That's to move the items up. All those opposed? No opposed. Motion passes. So moving up items 9F,
9E, and 9B in that order. My motion is that we table 9F to June 30th, 2021. If at that point it's necessary, then we can take it up at that point.
All right.
Second.
A motion and a second. All right, so the other items, same thing, will be to table all.
No, 9E, sir, on 9E, that reads, action in regards to hiring search firm for superintendent of schools position. I think this is a more of a sensitive issue that I think the board would be better served by setting a workshop, perhaps before the end of December, where we can meet. I think work to set some deadlines, working backwards. At what point do we want to see a new superintendent come into the district so the transition, with Mr. Santos be effective and smooth? I would suggest somewhere along May 30th of 2021, and we can work backwards, interview committees, local, regional, nationwide searches. I know our legal counsel has a presentation that he'd probably want to do. So I don't think we're going to be able to get to it today, but I think if we set up a workshop, I think that would probably be a better.
Mr. Montemayor, I agree with what you say. I think all in all, the only thing that I would say is I think for putting a committee, I'm not for that. Maybe that's why we were elected, to make a decision here. But I mean, I think of opening it up for the public and to have interviews and open it for people to apply and all that. I agree and concur with what you're saying.
I think that's what we need to discuss and see if we can reach a consensus on how it's gonna. I don't have a plan, and I think if the board could sit together at a workshop, and come up with a plan, we can go forward from there. I think that would probably be a little more organized. I think 15 minutes right now is going to be very good.
Yeah, of course, and I agree with that.
That's my 9B, 9E.
And 9F, those are the two items that which the search firm and the possibility of appointing of interim of schools. That'll be 9F. So
I think if we can make it in order, first, Mr. Release take an action. I guess Mr. Montemayor has to restate his motion on agenda item 9F first, which is to table till June 30th, and then second, and so on and so forth.
I got a motion and a second from Ms. Oliveros. We just need to take a vote on it.
all right, so we'll all those in favor to table item 9F so sometime in June 30th, 2021. We have a motion and a second by Mr. Oliveros.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Castillo.
I have a question. This is Mr. Castillo.
Go ahead, sir.
If we're going to suspend the actions, I believe 9F, I just want to be clear. What would happen if we need to come back? Are we confined, Mr. Counsel, regarding that we have to wait until the 30th? Or if there's a need that we need to come back to this?
Yes, Mr. Castillo, first of all, to be clear, the board is only, right now, the only action on the table is to table 9F, not 9E. So 9F is to table the appointment of the interim superintendent of schools. If that passes and there's a change of heart, let's say in February, March, then the board can bring that item back at any time, so.
Right, or a situation arises, I know,
Yeah.
point out, Mr. Montemayor mentioned that there's no need for an interim if Mr. Santos is still here and still here until the end of June of next year. So, again, it's a vacancy that's not
I think
open. It's not
if in the interim, between now, we have 6 months left on your contract, Mr. Santos. I think that's sufficient time for the board to come up with a search and appoint a new superintendent. I don't think we need an interim right now. But if we do, if there is a change, then at that point, we have to also entertain the issue of buying out Mr. Santos's contract at some point, going down that
So are
road.
we discussing 9E now, or?
9F.
I'm lost.
9F.
So my motion is that we table till June 30th, 2021, the issue of interim. At this point, I think it's not necessary. I think there's a second.
Okay.
Just to clarify something, and I just want to clarify that out for the board. I don't think, and I can speak for all the board here, or some of the board members, that I don't think at no reason, Mr. Santos, none of us are looking to buy you out. And I know we heard some of the public comments. I think we want for you to stay for your 6 months and finish your contract. At no point in time, I think we're all looking for that. The only thing I think we're trying to see here is that we have proper time to put a superintendent. I think it's to open it up for the public or for transparency, how you say, for the people can see that we want to have it open to, so that people can apply and for superintendent, and then have a committee and have interviews as like what we did when we did our police chief back in the days. I think that plays out a big factor, but of buying you out, I don't think anybody is in agreement in that, in buying you out. I think we want to see you finish your contract. I think you've done a very excellent work for our district, and I commend you for that.
Well, Rodriguez, thank you very much.
Mr. Santos, go ahead.
Well, at this point, Rodriguez, my intent has always been to finish out my contract. I'm really not interested in any buyout. I don't know who's brought that up. What I am willing to do is whenever the board selects the superintendent, I'm willing to stay all the way through the end of June 30th to make sure that there is some transition, smooth transition. And again, I'm loyal to United ISD. So, I'm here to help whoever comes in.
Thank you, Mr. Santos.
If I may.
Go ahead, Elisa.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make the point there. The only reason I think the public felt there was going to be a buyout is because you only need an interim if you don't have a superintendent. So you can't have a superintendent in an interim. Doesn't make sense. I don't even know how that's even thought of. So yeah, I think we just need to wait. And I think we're mixing two agenda items together here. We do need to do everything openly and transparent to the public, but that's a separate item. Right now, we're just talking about tabling the interim.
Yeah, that's my motion.
Right. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second by Ms. Lisa Oliveros. Any further discussion to table item to June 2019?
2021.
2021, I'm sorry.
June 30th.
June 30th, 2021. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Unopposed, motion passes. So that's tabling 6F. And we have to make the motion for 6C as well. Is that correct, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, that was basically to just defer to a workshop whenever y'all are available for
I'd like
that,
to do a workshop.
a special
I
comment.
don't have a plan. I think the appointment of a superintendent is an important, very important, thing that we need to consider. So I would like to at least meet with the board in a workshop before the end of the month, December of this month. And so I would like to, my motion is to table this with regard to the hiring of a search firm or other type of hiring procedures.
I'll second that, Javi, and with just a little tweak on it, that if we could do the meeting or the workshop, at least to start at 6 o'clock instead of noon, because I know that one of our board members, Ms. Castillo, can't make it at noon time.
That's fine. All right, and suggestion will be sometime before the end of this year.
I think that would give us at least a good starting point.
Understand? Okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. That takes care of 9E.
And last one is 9B, action in regards to resolution on the border wall.
All right, so
My motion on that would be to bring that one up as well. That's my motion.
Do we have the border wall resolution? Can you put it up, please?
What's the second?
Yes, the second one. The latest one.
all right, so we have a motion by Mr. Montemayor to go ahead and move agenda item 9B. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor to move by agenda item 9B, aye.
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 So as you heard several speakers today on the border wall, this is something that Zapata County Commissioner's Court has passed. Also, we have, I read in the newspaper that Webb County also passed it as well. I understand that the city of Laredo has not passed it, and now it's coming to the board for review and possible approval. This resolution basically would just take a stance at UISD, and the speakers are correct. As you know, and Mr. Castillo already, we brought him up to speed. We do have a little bit of property on the riverbanks, nothing really that we could use or district to build a school or anything like that, but there's the slivers where school districts property is compromised. And this resolution basically says that there's been a waiver of statutes by the current Trump administration in regards to moving forward with the construction of this border wall. It also says that there's been a destruction of critical habitat along the Rio Grande. It also calls into question the appointment of Chad Wolf, who was the acting Department of Homeland Security, and also states that the present Trump administration has waived procurement laws under the federal laws. So this resolution, if passed by the board, would allow the resolution to be presented to Alejandro Mayorkas, who's the incoming Secretary of the United States Department of Homeland Security, to impose or to implore upon the new Biden administration to basically not move forward with a border wall, to take one of the border wall as a as something that is significant in their new administration. That the construction of the proposed border wall in the Laredo sector would not be the only means by which to secure the border. That there be stopping of any favoritism of letting out contracts to build this border wall. And to announce finally to the incoming administration, immediately consider overriding, correcting, and disciplining any actions taken by the current administration. So that's really what's being proposed for the board to consider. I understand that the group that's putting together does not want a modification of this proposed resolution, so we have not changed it any, because they want to have every government that passes this border wall be consistently the same. So they can say
this will be the same resolution that has been heard at
Zapata and Webb County.
and other entities.
Motion to approve.
We have motion by Mr. Montemayor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Ramirez, aye.
All right, all those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. So it'll be 9B. All right, so moving back to regular order would be agenda item 5, board recognitions. That's
Yes, sir, we do have very brief. We've been, the last couple of months, not showing a video, but this will be a little video on some of our students. Again, they continue to excel.
Good afternoon, parents, teachers, students, and community members. It is with great pride that we would like to acknowledge UISD scholars that have contributed to their campus scores. These students have excelled in their studies while enrolled in our high schools, and they truly exemplify scholarship and academic excellence. These students have taken the College Board's advanced placement exams, rigorous college-level, content-specific assessments which various colleges and universities consider in awarding college credit or advanced placement. An advanced placement student may earn one of the following 4 distinctions: the designation of AP Scholar by having received grades of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams, the distinction of AP Scholar with honor by earning an average grade of at least 3.25 on all AP exams taken and grades of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams, the designation of AP Scholar with distinction by earning an average grade of 3.5 on all AP exams taken and grades of 3 or higher on 5 or more of these exams, or the designation of National AP Scholar for receiving an average score of at least 4 on all AP exams taken and scores of 4 or higher on 8 or more of these exams. Congratulations to all of our UISD AP Scholars.
That's it. Thank you.
Very nice, great to see that we have more and more students year after year. Honestly, their hard work is paying off. It's not an easy task to be recognized as an AP scholar. So
Congratulations to all and their parents too.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't be there without the parents. The teachers. It goes unsaid. Congratulations to everyone.
agenda item C6, informational items. Item A, the monthly financial report.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. Just real quickly, because I know time is of essence, it's our monthly financial report. You'll see our cash investment balance of over 179 million. Our administrative cost ratio that Sam mentioned in the first rating, that's why we look at it monthly, we're at 8.42%. Our unaudited statement shows that we're at 28% of our budgeted revenue. And last year at this time, we were at 25%, expenditures at 25.7%. Last year, we were at 32.7%. Our tax office collection report shows that we have a collection rate of 14.39% at the end of November, but to date, we're at 36.16%. The delinquent collection rate at 60.64 and to date 60.25. Our purchase report included all the bids and proposals awarded through November, and our grant report was submitted in there for the activity in that department. And unless anybody has any questions, sorry, I can.
That's fine. Appreciate the information. Thank you very much. Item B, budget calendar for 2021-2022.
So as part of Mr. Santos' evaluation, we bring a budget to a budget calendar to the board. It just lays out how we plan to build the budget for this year. The orange just indicates when we expect to maybe bring some update to the board, and we matched it with the board meeting dates. Unless we go back to the business committee, we'll do those. 2 key days on January 12th. The 87th legislation starts, and then it ends on May 28th. So we will be watching all the bills that are being filed that will affect us, whether fiscally or educationally. So we'll be bringing updates as we're going through the board process, the budget process.
Are you going to have any meetings with our consultant on whether or not on his outlook and funding?
Yes, we meet with them. A lot of emails, yes, and we'll be bringing those updates. And who knows, maybe at some point we could do something virtually for the
Yes,
board.
Amanda Bronson works for one association. Obviously, Lynn Moe works for them. I know Naya, Sam, and staff are always looking at their information that they put out, and they're keeping us abreast of what's happening in the state. And all indications is it's going to be very lean financially. So we've got to be frugal with our expenses and staffing.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, proposed boundary changes for various elementary campuses effective 2021-2022 school year.
Mr. Vélez, members of the board, Mr. Santos, just real briefly wanted to provide you information on the proposed boundary changes. As you know, We have the elementary school located in the Copes subdivision that's being proposed to open up this August of 2021. And due to that opening, there are some changes that we need to take into effect, which also has a ripple effect for the middle and the high school as the information. We have before you is just the boundary language that goes in every single one of the changes that we're proposing. And if you go to the next slide, please, we can show you the next slide is the actual map itself. This is the maps that they exist today as the elementary schools that are in the area that will be impacted and affected. Everything in the lighter color is currently the San Isidro school boundary, which is on the eastern part of the loop. And that's the majority of the area that would be affected. The next slide will show you a shaded area, which is the proposed changes that's being recommended. Part of the process that we do is we present it to the board as an informational item. Then we go ahead and make parental presentations to be able to get parental input on the boundary changes, and then we come back to the board for final approval if there's any changes or recommendation for changes. So again, this is the proposed change that we're looking at in the shaded area, and then finally the last slide will indicate what the boundary would look like after, or if it's approved officially. This is what the boundary would look like in those particular school areas. It will have an impact on the schools listed that we showed, which would be, of course, San Isidro, Colonel Santos, Newman Elementary, and mainly those areas that would be impacted. Oh, and as well as the Cuellar Elementary, and then of course some impacts on the middle schools, which is the next slide. Go to the next slide here. These are the boundary changes that will be impacted for the middle schools, which would be between United Middle and of course the Alexander boundaries. We go to the next slide. This is the current middle school boundary in that particular area, as we indicated earlier. And we go to the very next slide here. This is the area that would be impacted with this particular change. Currently, the majority of these students attend either Gonzalez or Clark Middle School. Then the recommendation, if we go with the boundary change for the elementary so that we keep everything aligned, they would now attend United Middle School, which is the next slide. We'll be able to show that. United Middle School, and then of course, as we show the boundary for the high school, go to the very next slide. This is the current boundary as it exists today. The area of impact is going to be between United South and Alexander High School. The next slide will indicate the shaded area, which is that one portion there that currently attends United High School, or United South High School. And the next slide will show what the boundary would look like. And again, this gives us a great opportunity to be able to create boundaries that give us good demarcation lines. And in this particular case, Highway 59 will actually be the northern and southern boundary of Alexander and United in this particular area. Further down the road, the colonias would still be attending United South. That's the current. They currently attend United South. They would continue to currently attend United South. It's just this one area in the beginning that would actually be changed to Alexander. So again, we will be presenting this to the parents, and we will come back to the board for final approval. Yes, sir.
Can you send me the information as with regards the United Middle School and the Clark Middle School boundary changes? And can you also give it to me in terms of numbers? I'm concerned that if you move kids from Clark Middle School, it's going to probably decrease what is already a low amount of kids in that campus already. United Middle School has a lot of children already in their school, and I'm concerned that you're going to have a population issue there. So if you can just kind of couch it in terms of what the numbers are going to look like, because that's the case. You know, when we moved boundary changes for Troutman and Herrera, it created
it created Herrera as a huge middle school and a decreased Troutman to a very low number of students there. So I don't want the same thing to happen here. So if you could kind of just give me that perspective, and that would really be a big help.
Yes, sir. And just for your information, it's really the area around the Saunders Boulevard area, which is the southern part, around the Webb County Municipal Golf Course, and a little bit south of Saunders. So it's a very minimal population. We just wanted to align it with the elementary school boundary to make sure that we have a vertical alignment. But we'll get you that. We'll get you that information. It's a minimal number.
We'll send on Friday's packet to the whole board. This way,
Yes, sir.
what Mike presented and plus the information needed. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
This is an item that's gonna be, maybe there's gonna be some changes though.
yeah, basically what Mr. Gonzalez is going to do, he'll be going, and obviously he'll invite Ms. Oliveros and also Mr. Castillo. Really, it doesn't affect a lot of students in Mr. Castillo, but the building is in his boundary.
Right.
And he'll begin to present to the parents to be able to start input. Then eventually he'll come back to the board either next month or the following month for the final recommendation to the board, where the board can vote, then it becomes official.
It's a real delicate issue. So in the past, I know when we do boundary changes, we have always allowed some of the students to finish out, let's say, elementary.
Yes.
That's something that might be consideration.
Definitely, we'll look at that. We'll give the parents the option without obviously transportation, but
Correct.
we always give the parents the option. And again, we've been really flexible as far as the transfer students or district wide. So yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Agenda item 7, items for individual consideration. We have agenda item 7A, approval of monthly disbursements. We have a motion regarding the approval of disbursements. Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Bellis, I don't know if you all have any questions at this point over the disbursements for the month of November.
I do not believe so, Mr. Cordes. But we seek information. So all those in favor, aye.
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 All those opposed, none opposed, motion passes. Item 7B, approval of property tax refunds for the month of November 2020.
We have one tax refund for the amount of $668.33 to the taxpayer Laredo Federal Credit Union in care of Anita Gonzalez. It was an overpayment.
Motion to approve. Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item 7C, approval of board minutes for the month of July 2020 and August 2020. We have a motion. Second. Motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Item 7D, approval of donations.
Yes, Mr. Bellis, members of the board, we have 2 donations. They'll be attached to the minutes. United Middle School received for STEM classes, received $1,200 from Burlington Store, and then $1,000 from Walmart. This month we got a donation of $2,200 that we graciously accept. I want to thank these 2 businesses for supporting their campuses.
Motion to approve. Motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Item 7E, approval of awarding bids, proposals and qualifications.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Cordy Jackson for the record. We have the following recommendations for your consideration. RFP 2020-059, repair and service of district-wide fleet to Andy's Auto, Air and Supplies, Grease Monkey, Pete Lozano Garage and Body Shop, Rotex Truck Center Inc., South Texas Auto Rebuilders, and Toro Auto Sales. RFQ 2020-062, MEP Engineering Services for district-wide construction projects and general maintenance projects. The most qualified firm would be DBR Engineering Consultant, and our second most qualified would be Tessie Engineering. RFQ 2020-063, Civil Engineering and Surveying Services for district-wide construction and general maintenance projects. The recommended most qualified vendor would be Civil Engineering Consultants with the second most qualified Howland Engineering and Surveying Company. RFQ 2020-065, architectural services for district-wide construction and general maintenance projects. Most qualified would be Cavazos Architects and Associates, with the second most qualified as Able City. In addition, we have 2 renewals for your consideration.
We have a motion to approve as presented. Motion to approve. Second. Motion a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Item 7F, approval of JOC 2020-007 Phase 2 Safety and Security Window Film Installation at UISD campuses.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. The recommendation here is to award Phase 2 of the safety and security window film installation to Quantum Construction in the amount of $422,288, which is the base and alternate one, and it includes a $50,000 contingency allowance.
Motion to approve. We have a motion approved and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. Item 7, discussion and action to adopt resolution to declare all Texas educators as frontline workers to receive early COVID-19 vaccine.
This is one of the most important.
Yes, it is, Mr. Reddy, members of the board. Our recommendation is that the board approves this resolution. And really, the bottom line is we're gonna send it to the governor to be able to consider our employees as front workers. So hopefully he'll get to the front of the line on the COVID vaccine. So administration is recommending that the board approve this resolution. We'll sign it by Mr. Bennett, Mr. Rodriguez, and it will send it to the governor, right, governor's office.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. It is aye.
Those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Item 7H, first and final reading of board policy DGBA, local personnel management relations, employee complaints and grievances.
Some language before you on the grievancer for the employee grievances, and basically what we're looking at is at level 1 on page 6. You will see that it is to allow for the mediation component of that's when the timeline would actually start ticking. So we have the individuals on page 8. When you see it, the level 1, if the resolution is not reached, then at that point, then the process would actually start at the mediation conference. If it's not reached there, it goes on to level 1. And so that language, it goes in line with our practices,
Right.
but it's just spelled out a little clearer.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, they're separate items.
That's fine, so that should be one. I know the other one for students. So, okay, so do we have motion as presented by Ms. Mendoza? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Ramirez, aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. And item 7I, first and final reading of board policy F&G, local student rights and responsibilities, student and parent complaints grievances.
It's the exact same language, sir, that is also written for this particular area for this parent and student complaint.
Okay, so we for students and parents. We have motion to approve this presented. Motion, do we have a second? Motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Opposed, motion passes. At this time, it's agenda item 8, closed session. I'm going to recommend going to closed session. Closed session, the time is now 1:14 p.m. The board will adjourn in closed session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code to discuss agenda item 8.
Yeah.
8.
Is Kenny Balls there?
All right, agenda item 9, reconvening from closed session. Time is now 1:56 p.m. The board will take appropriate action on items if necessary as discussed in closed session.
Well, the recommendation pursuant to the discussion was to name a campus in the Mines Road area for Mr. Juan Roberto Ramirez, and the campus to be determined by the school board and administration at a later date.
So move.
Second. Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, none opposed, motion passes.
And agenda item C is to authorize legal counsel and administration regarding the possible purchase of approximately 12 acres north from United Ninth Grade Campus on 2811 Hook'em Horns Boulevard from Killam Ranch Properties or its affiliated entity for $14,000 per acre pursuant to the settlement agreement dated April 18, 2007, as presented in closed session.
Motion, do we have a second? Second, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, motion passes.
And the last action is to approve the resolution to continue paid leave benefits to employees affected by COVID after the expiration of the FFCRA on December 31st, 2020.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 10, adjournment, time is 1:58. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.